Good morning, everybody. Our music is back. That means we are back. Did you have a good weekend? Did you? Welcome to Hot Topics, 10 a.m. Well, just a little bit after 10 a.m. Eastern Time. I'm so glad that you're all here. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope you had a great weekend. I had a really good weekend. I relaxed somewhat. And so here we are. As you can see, I did a little tree action. Put a little tree up behind me. And some Christmas things. You can see my little Santas there. Little black Santas. We got all different ethnicities of Santas and Mrs. Claus and whatever. So I hope you had a great weekend. Where are you streaming from? Where are you watching us from, everyone? Let me know. Good morning from Sacramento. Robin's Nest says hello. Lisa D is in Memphis. Good morning. South Carolina, Phyllis Good. Thank you for joining. Susie Q says, hey, Don. Paulette, hey, Christmas tree from Atlanta. I'm glad you guys noticed the tree. Don, beautiful tree, very festive, says Miss Ruth. Thank you so much. It's also, there are colored lights on there too. Hello, Omaha, Nebraska GM. The tree in the back looks so pretty. Thank you. Do you see the wreaths as well? I think my head is covering. Where is it? My head is covering one of the wreaths. I don't know if you can see it. I'll go that way so you can look and see. But I'm so glad that you got, there it is right here, right there. And then there's one here in this window as well. So anyway, we had a great weekend. Lake Charles, Louisiana. Susan, did you guys put up? How is Gus? Gus is better and barking at people. Thank you for asking, Janet. So Gus had some issues with trachea. And I think it's trachea, or he's got a cold or whatever. They did an x-ray. The x-ray is not back yet. We're going to get it a little bit later on this morning. Waiting to hear from the vet. But he's doing some coughing. It did not sound good for a couple of days. Here's the weird thing. That was freezing on Friday when I took him to the vet. So I put on, I have a heated jacket, with the battery in it. You guys have seen those Oro things. So we put that, I took him and he was freezing, and then they gave him an injectable antibiotic. And the weird thing with the injectable antibiotic is that I think it's harsh. It was a little harsh on him, I believe. So, but anyway, he was groggy all weekend. So it made me a little bit nervous. But by last night, he started to come back, started growling, barking at the other dogs, trying to, be the alpha male of the house, even though he's the oldest and the smallest. But he rules the roost. So before we got him, I believe that Gus was alone, probably with an older. His mom died, as I understand from the shelter, and that he's used to being, sort of like a pocketbook dog, purse carried around, but not anymore. So there we go. So thank you, Animatic, for your support of independent media. Morning, Don. Short for anything? Nope. Don is just Don. It's not Donald. Hello, Lemonheads from Ohio, says El Crisp. Columbia, South Carolina, Shasha D2. Great news for Gus, says Northern Tier. Thank you. I appreciate that. Gus, Veracity. Thank you. So I'm just going to read some of these things. I'm so glad you. Hi, Don, Ohio here. Let's see. Good morning from Philly. Jane R. Mayada Garga is there. Miss Beasley's here from Pennsylvania. Dallas, Texas. Sudi. Fernando, the tree is festive, very demure. Thank you, Fernando. Thank you. So anyways, other Christmas things. But anyway, we have stuff all over. And so I'm happy. So I turned the camera a little bit so you could see the tree, so we can be a little bit festive this morning. And I'll put this one up here on the TikTok so the TikTok can see at least some of the Christmas things. Okay, so shall we get to this? What are you guys drinking this morning? You got a coffee? You got a tea? What do you have? What are you doing? Diane Cox in Boise, Idaho. What are you drinking this morning? Oh, by the way, this is, check it out. This was Wendy. I just go and grab some mugs. So we have mugs. By the way, we did a little spring cleaning. I don't know if you guys ever do this, but we have all of these mugs that sort of match. They come with like a match set, and we never use them. So we got rid of them. We use random mugs that we've gotten like as gifts or from talk shows that I've been on, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then I use those instead. So I went on the Wendy show a lot. So I have some mugs from her I use. I even have, I'm going to use it one day. I have a Megyn Kelly mug. that I'll tell you the reason why we use it. It's funny. So anyway, Karen Bennett says coffee. Wait, Twiling Conga, you're doing Sprite? You're worse than me because you know I like my diet ginger ale and my Fresca. Irish breakfast tea. I cannot do breakfast tea on an empty stomach or black tea or whatever. And because it's too hard on my stomach. It makes me sort of, yeah. Drinking tea, says Florida. Oh, Wendy, I miss her. I miss Wendy as well. Oop, Megan Kelly. Yeah, I have a Megan Kelly Today mug. It was my friend worked there, and he said when the show got canceled, he said, "Guess what? This was still in the gift shop, and I wanted to get this for you before they sold out of them, so you can have it's like a collector's item, and you can do with it as you will." 32 Antoine. Wow, thank you so much. It's going to take you 3 full days to cover all the lies told by Trump in 1 hour. I know. We're just going to go. Oh, that's so funny. I should have done. You're right with the Black Santas. I'll do that. I'll do the Black Santas and the Megyn Kelly mug. I'll do that with the Megyn Kelly mug. We'll do that tomorrow. Mushroom coffee, says Mitzi. Wow, interesting. Alabama, unfortunately, says simplify auditing. There you go. Okay. So, Antoine, thank you. Really, that is very generous of you. Thank you for your support of independent media. We appreciate it. We love you for it. Yeah, I'm a little bit low key because I went to bed late. If you guys ever, putting up all this Christmas decoration and stuff, holiday decoration, we also have our menorah up as well. But doing it is quite a bit. You got to go down to the basement or you got to go in the attic or wherever. For us, we had to go down to the basement of the building, get all of our Christmas stuff, see if it would fit in this apartment. Because as you know, we just moved. We moved almost a year ago in January or February. Don Mia Price says, don't respect Black Santa like that. I know. So look, I told you, we have a whole host of Santas of different ethnicities behind us. All of them. We have a Latino Santa. We've got a Black Santa. We got a white Santa. I've been looking for Asian Santa, although I have not found. If you guys find one, send me. If you have different ethnicities of Santas, please, please, please let me know where you get them so that I can get it. We have Mrs. Santa Claus, all of this one. This one that is next to, just so you know, I'm going off or whatever. This one right here, that one, that's next to the tree, almost fell off of the window last night. I was putting the shade down and this one right here, and it is ceramic. And I don't know how I caught it. I was like, I don't know, a receiver like Travis Kelce, Tim was like, wow, that's a great catch. And that one was gifted to us by someone we really love, so we would not want to lose that Santa. And look, we got Mrs. and Miss Santa and Mrs. Claus and a snow globe here, and it's Black Santa and Mrs. Claus. Is he wearing? Oh, yeah, it's right here. Yeah, here we go. So we got all kinds, as it should be, Okay, let's get to the show. All right, so look, hello everybody, welcome. We have a lot to discuss. Donald Trump, by the way, sat down. Thank you, Michelle Flagg, for your support. Donald Trump sat down for his first TV network interview since winning the election. I did not want to cover this, but I think it's important. Here's why I didn't want to cover. I shouldn't say not want to cover. I'm hesitant about covering Donald Trump's interviews because we have normalized him so much. Yes, the man is the president-elect of the United States, but I think the normalization, you can correct me if I'm wrong, is what helped to put him into office. The normalization of him, his lies, and all of his hyperbole and everything. It's a lot of lies. Let's just be honest. Donald Trump lies a lot. But the normalization of those lies catapulted him into office. And things that are normal for most people, that most people would not get away with, he gets away with. Because, in large part, because he's a con artist and because he co-opts and gets people to believe what he says, because they, I guess he's the imprimatur for the worst parts of their personality. And they want to believe some of these lies that he has told. They simply want to. For a little while, he sounded almost measured when he met with Meet the Press host, Kristen Welker. Like he said, what did he say? He says, I want to work with Democrats to find a way to preserve the Dreamers' legal status. He vowed not to ban abortion medication or fire Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell or order the prosecutions of his political opponents. That's what he said in that interview. but that's not actually what he says in real life, okay? That only lasted for a few minutes because eventually the liar in chief came out. Just minutes after promising not to go after his foes, Trump said that the members of the House Select Committee January 6th, quote, committed a major crime and they should go to jail. That was just minutes after he said, you know what, I'm not going to go after my opponents. I'm not going to go after people in the government. He then said that he would pardon rioters for the Capitol attack on his first day in office, echoing Robert F. Kennedy Jr., his choice to run the Department of Health and Human Services. He flirted with the idea of banning vaccines. So there you go. So before I just get to some of the lies, okay, let's dig in on this January 6th, right? Thank you, Jackie. Thank you for talking about normalization. The media does this all the time. It does. It treats him like he is on the same level. Let's just be honest. That he's on the same level as others in politics. That he's on the same level of a Kamala Harris or Hillary Clinton or, quite frankly, most political players, that he's on the level. He's not. He lies a lot. And I refuse to normalize him because it's not normal. So again, we have to cover him. I agree he is the president-elect of the United States. But we can cover him by telling the truth about him. All right? I want to talk about Jack Smith, okay? And Adam Schiff and Liz Cheney. Now, he's saying, hey, I don't want to, I'm not going to go after anybody. But while I'm going to pardon the January 6th rioters and the people who committed crimes, some say treason, overthrowing the government, defacing the Capitol, defecating in the Capitol, urinating in the Capitol, breaking in, stealing things in the Capitol, beating, injuring police officers. One of them, reportedly, so upset, lost his life. One of them had a heart attack. One of them had head injuries, at least a number of them. Here's Donald Trump talking about his political opponents, and the folks on the January 6th committee saying, you know what? They should go to jail. They should be prosecuted. Here he is.
Cheney was behind it, and so was Benny Thompson and everybody on that committee. For what they did, honestly, they should go to jail.
So you think Liz Cheney should go to jail?
For what they did.
Everyone on the committee, you think?
I think everybody anybody that voted in favor.
Are you going to direct your FBI director and your attorney general to send them to jail?
Not at all. I think that they'll have to look at that, but I'm not going to. I'm going to focus on drill, baby, drill.
So here's the thing. Wow. The January 6th investigators should be jailed. All right. Here's the truth about that. Liz Cheney and members of the January 6th committee did nothing contrary to the law whatsoever. They observed their constitutional duty in carrying out their investigation into an attempted coup. There was nothing illegal about it. They actually did their jobs. Trump tried to overturn a free and fair election. He incited a riot. He incited an insurrection, and they did their jobs. That's it. And the lack of accountability, Miranda, is shameful. The lack of accountability is shameful. Some of the things that weren't quite it was lies. It was a lie because he talked about, during the election, I won, he said, on groceries. He said, I started using the word groceries. Now, when was the last time that you used the word groceries? Probably just yesterday or today or a day before or whatever. We need to buy some groceries, right? He said, I started using the word groceries when nobody was ever using this word groceries. This is a brand new word. Now, it's not quite a lie to say that he ran on the cost of things, but not quite on saying groceries. Here he is.
I won on two things, the border, and more than immigration. They like to say immigration. I break it down more to the border, but I won on the border, and I won on groceries. It's a very simple word, groceries. Like almost, who uses the word? I started using the word, the groceries. When you buy apples, when you buy bacon, when you buy eggs, they would double and triple the price over a short period of time. And I won an election based on that. We're going to bring those prices way down.
I want to pause here because
Yeah. I never heard him say groceries. No, I did say, he talked a lot about gas, right? They talked a lot about the price of eggs and all of that. Groceries is a new word, says KevZ247. He ran on groceries. You heard in there say, whoever uses that word. That part is a little weird because everybody uses that word. But did he talk about the price of things? Yes. But that was a lie. He never said the word groceries. Here's the thing that I want to talk to you about, okay? Because he talked about that and he talked about inflation. So inflation, as he discusses, he said inflation was not a problem under his administration. There was no inflation under his administration, and that the inflation all came because of Joe Biden. I got a fact check here, okay? So here's the thing. Let me get I just want to be completely accurate about this whole inflation thing. Because I got a bunch of fact checks here. And I don't want to screw any of it up. Because we're also going to talk about immigration as well. So I got a lot. Okay, tariffs. Tariffs is going to be the next thing that we talk about. When he talks about the price of things here. That's birthright citizenship. What did I do with my inflation stuff? He also said Obamacare was lousy. Anyways, tariffs cost America nothing. No, that's not it. That's the next thing I want to do. I thought that was PolitiFact. Okay. Why can't I find my inflation thing? I just had it. Okay, let's see. Is it here? This is so unlike me not to be able to find the information that I had. Okay. Oh, here we go. Okay. Global inflationary forces saw every incumbent government or candidate faced an election the year lose vote share of 70%, or an incumbent leader who faced an election were voted out of office. Okay. So there were other places where people were voted out of office because of the inflation, but it wasn't because there was something different about what Joe Biden was doing as it relates to inflation than any other country. As a matter of fact, Joe Biden was doing better as it relates to inflation than any other country in the world. And so the whole idea that inflation was just something that was Joe Biden was a lie. Here we go. Here it is. When I handed it over to Biden, they didn't have inflation for a year and a half, he said. They created inflation with energy and with spending too much. That is an exaggeration on both counts, according to the New York Times and according to PolitiFact. Inflation was about 1% late in Trump's term. It was about 1%, mainly because COVID-19 had drastically slowed many types of economic activity. However, the rise in inflation under President Joe Biden began sooner than Trump said. During the Biden presidency, his first 6 months, many Americans received COVID-19 vaccines, and the economy began to reemerge, stoking consumer demand as supplies lagged. Year over year, inflation hit 4.9 by May of 2021, 4 months into Biden's term, which marked its highest level in about 13 years. From there, inflation kept rising, peaking at about 9% a year and a half into Biden's term. Economists say that excessive spending by Biden's American Rescue Plan Act exacerbated inflation. But here's the root cause that I've been telling you guys this all the time. And no one wants to listen. They just listen to all of this bullshit talking points by Donald Trump. Economists say excessive spending by Biden's American Rescue Plan exacerbated inflation. But the root cause was mostly COVID-19 era supply chain shortages and global energy market disruption from Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Where did that supply chain issue come from? Because of Donald Trump's poor handling of the economy. But no one wants to listen to that. Because of Donald Trump's poor handling of the economy. That is what threw us into inflation. That is why inflation is so high. Is because of that. Fact check. Okay? Let's go on some other things to talk about. Donald Trump says that he's talks about whether he has spoken to Putin. Now, what is the truth here? Have you spoken to him recently? Have you spoken to him after the election? Here's what he said, and then we'll fact check it. Check it out.
And end the war in 24 hours. You've even said you want to try to end it before you're sworn into office. You're actively trying to?
I am.
Have you talked to President Putin?
No, I have not.
You haven't talked to President Putin since you've been elected?
No. Well, I don't want to say that, but I haven't spoken to him recently.
So you've spoken to President Putin since you've been elected?
I don't want to say that. I don't want to say anything about that because I don't want to do anything that could impede the negotiation.
But you
I want to
have
stop
talked
it.
about
Let me
the
tell you
other
what I have
world
talked
leaders.
about. Let me tell you.
Okay. So he doesn't impede the negotiations, meaning trying to negotiate to get the war in Ukraine stopped, to stop the war. So he won't say whether he's spoken to him. He says, yes, I've spoken to him. I've spoken to him, and we've talked about the war, and we've also talked to Macron, and we're going to see what happened. Have you spoken to him or haven't? Why he just can't answer a simple question. Have you spoken to him or have you not spoken to him? Just that easy. It's always some wiggle room with him. This one is really important because this one is going to affect you more than anything. Whether you are, it doesn't matter, any American, whether you're a Trump supporter or not, right? This one is going to affect you, and he has lied about it a lot. And that's tariffs, whether they hurt the American consumer. Here it is.
Sir, your previous tariffs during your first administration cost Americans some $80 billion. And now you have major companies from Walmart, Black & Decker, AutoZone saying that any tariffs are going to force them to drive up prices for their consumers. How do you make sure that these CEOs, that these companies don't, in fact, pass on the cost of tariffs to their consumers?
They cost Americans nothing. They made a great economy for us. They also solve another problem. If we were going to have problems having to do with wars and having to do with other things, tariffs, I have stopped wars with tariffs by saying, you guys want to fight, it's great, but both of you are going to pay tariffs to the United States at 100%.
Okay, there is no evidence of that. He stopped wars. Like what wars? And where was what wars? That would have been my question. Wait, hold on. You stopped wars with tariffs. What wars did you stop with tariffs? Who was it? Which wars did you stop with tariffs? Here's the truth on tariffs, okay? Let me give you the truth on tariffs. Tariffs are in effect a tax on the domestic consumer of the country that enacts them, whatever country enacts them. This is not a debate. This is basic economics. What's more, in surveys from 1990 to 2000, 2011, 2021, about 95% of American Economic Association members agreed that tariffs reduced general economic welfare overall. Okay? That is one thing about tariffs. Here's the other thing about tariffs. Tariffs cost Americans nothing, Trump said. That is false. The Trump transition team pointed to reports by the Coalition for a Prosperous America, an often pro-tariff group advocating for strategic trade, tax, and growth policies. But the vast majority of credentialed economists dispute the argument that tariffs are a net positive. Again, in surveys from 1990, 2000, 2011, 2021, about 95% of Economic Association members that agree that tariffs reduced general economic welfare. Most economists say that consumers in the tariff levy country lose in their deals, paying higher prices directly for foreign goods and indirectly because of higher prices for foreign source raw material used in domestic goods. Also, if the other country retaliates by raising tariffs on U.S. goods, sales can decline for U.S. producers. That is the truth as it relates to tariffs. A fact check. Trump on his health care plan. Now, let me tell you what Donald Trump said about health care. He said that Obamacare was lousy and that he had a plan. Remember the whole repeal and replace? For years, for almost a decade, even more than a decade, Republicans have been saying repeal and replace Obamacare. Donald Trump came into office 8 years ago saying that he was going to repeal and replace Obamacare. It never happened. Here's what he said about healthcare.
And then he voted against. Nobody understands
Sir,
it.
you said during the campaign you had concepts of a plan. Do you have an actual plan at this point for health care?
Yes, we have concepts of a plan that would be better.
Still just concepts? Do you have a fully developed plan?
Let me explain. We have the biggest healthcare companies looking at it. We have doctors. We're always looking because Obamacare stinks. It's lousy. There are better answers. If we come up with a better answer, I would present that answer to Democrats and to everybody else, and I do something about it. But until we have that, or until they can approve it, but we're not going to go through the big deal. I am the one that saved Obamacare, I will say, and I did the right thing. I could have done the more political thing and killed it, and all I had to do is starve it to death.
You did try to have your Justice Department effectively kill it, though,
No,
sir.
Kill it from a legal standpoint, but from a physical standpoint, I made it work.
In your
You guys fall for everything this man says. The whole reason that he was so upset with John McCain is because what did John McCain do? Brian Williams, how did he win? Like how? I think we've explained that. Remember, it's the price of eggs. Wink, wink. It is the price of eggs, really. How do you think he won? You know how he won. You know how he won. Why no live fact check or pushback from the interview? That's why folks believe, well, you know, I'm trying, big Missy B. That's what I'm trying to tell you. No, I love Kristen. She's a friend. I think she's great. There could have been more pushback. And Yvonne Rivera, you're right. He has no plan. That's why he says he has concepts of a plan, because there is no plan. And for him to sit there and lie, says he could have started, he tried to starve it. It did not work. You know why? Because so many people rely on Obamacare that he could not do it. And he realized that it would be politically terrible for him to do it, but he tried to do it anyways. And he's going to try to do it again. Watch, if your healthcare goes away, what are you going to do? Here's the truth as we fact check that. Most people use it. They don't feel that it's lousy. This is according to the New York Times. A 2023 survey by the Healthcare Policy Research Group, KFF, found strong satisfaction with plans purchased on the marketplaces for the Affordable Care Act, sometimes called Obamacare. It was called Obamacare first. People started to like it. Then Republicans started referring to it as the Affordable Care Act when they couldn't get rid of it. Among respondents who had insurance purchased on the Affordable Care Act marketplace, 20% called their care excellent, another 52% called it good, another 23% called it fair, and 5% called it poor. Doesn't sound lousy to me. That was just a few percentage points behind approval ratings among people who had employer-sponsored insurance. They liked it almost as much as they liked their employer-sponsored insurance. Of that group, 33% said their plan was excellent. 47% said their plan was good. 52% said Obama's care was good. 47% said they were good. It's almost got better ratings in the good. It's got better ratings in the good department. Interesting. You'll never hear that. That's what you need to know, the truth. Tariffs hurt American consumers. People like Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act. So let's talk about Trump on ending birthright citizenship. Okay? Birthright citizenship. All of these things about deporting immigrants, about what he's going to do with immigrants, if he's going to send them back, if he's going to send dreamers back, etc. This is what he said.
Let me ask you about another group of people, the estimated 4 million families in America who have mixed immigration status. So I'm talking about parents who might be here illegally, but the kids are here legally. Your borders are
You're talking about separation.
Yeah, well, I mean, there are two aspects to this. Your border czar, Tom Homan, said they can be deported together. Correct. Is that the plan?
Well, that way you keep the... Well, I don't want to be breaking up families. So the only way you don't break up the family is you keep them together, and you have to send them all back.
Even kids who are here legally?
Well, what you're going to do if they want to stay with the father? Look, we have to have rules and regulations. You can always find something out like, this doesn't work, that doesn't work. I'll tell you what's going to be horrible. When we take a wonderful young woman who's with a criminal, and they show the woman, and she could stay by the law, but they show the woman being taken out, or they want her out, and your cameras are focused on her as she's crying, as she's being taken out of our country, and then the public turns against us. But we have to do our job, and you have.
Okay. So Trump says that, no other nation, virtually no other nation does this. That is false. Okay. Because he talks about ending birthright citizenship. That is false. World Population Review lists 33 nations that grant citizenship to anyone born within their borders. This is not unique to America, and they somehow figure out how to do it. We're the richest country in the world, and we can't figure out how to do it. Why not? Because they've been using it as a political cudgel, because Republicans really don't want to fix it because they can run on it so that they can keep you upset, and they can keep using it for what? For politics, so that they can win. Oh, they don't want to fix the border. They've had decades and decades and decades to fix immigration in this country, to overhaul immigration, but they don't want to do it. 33 nations that grant citizenship to anyone born within their borders. America is not unique. The United States is joined by Mexico and many countries in Central and South America, including Brazil and Argentina. The United States and Canada are the only two developed countries, as defined by International Monetary Fund, that have unrestricted birthright citizenship laws. There are other places that do it. Okay? Here's the other thing as it relates to birthright citizenship. Unrestricted. Okay, so Trump also said, if somebody sets just a foot, 1 foot, you don't need two on land. Congratulations, you are now a citizen of the United States of America. This statement is nonsensical, according to New York Times. Setting 1 foot on U.S. soil doesn't make migrants a citizen or citizens. If it did, then there would be no such thing as illegal immigration. If you could set 1 foot on soil and you become a citizen, then that means everybody's a legal citizen. God, why do people not point this out? And why don't people know more about this? Is it because no one can control him in interviews? Is it because he chooses people who can't control him in interviews? Is it because they allow people to do it? What is it? Is they allow him to do it? Why do you guys think it is? Why do you think that he can just lie? Let me go through some of the things that I have not gone through, just because I want to fact check, okay? And then I'll tell you, I'm going to end with something that you're going to be shocked about. Okay, so that's what he says about that. And I also want to get to this whole idea about that he ran on about all of these illegals in the United States of America. Okay? All right. So let's talk about crime. Nikki, do we have a crime?
As I say, we have the clip on that.
You have it?
Yes.
All right, let's play it. Tell me what you have, too.
Are you going to fire the current FBI director, Christopher Wray, who you appointed?
Well, I can't say I'm thrilled with him. He invaded my home. I'm suing the country over it. He invaded Mar-a-Lago. I'm very unhappy with the things he's done. And crime is at an all-time high. Migrants are pouring into the country that are from prisons and from mental institutions, as we've discussed. I can't say I'm thrilled. I don't want to be Joe Biden and give you an answer and then do the exact opposite.
We're going to talk about
So
that,
I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to say is I certainly cannot be happy with him. You take a look at what's happened. And then when I was shot in the ear, he said, "Oh, maybe it was shrapnel." Where's the shrapnel coming from? Is it coming from heaven? I don't think so. So we need somebody to straighten. I have a lot of respect for the FBI, but the FBI's respect has gone way down over the last number of years.
Don't you have to fire him in order to make room for Kash Patel if he is in fact confirmed?
Well, I mean, it would sort of seem pretty obvious that if Kash gets in, he's going to be taking somebody's place, right? And somebody is the man that you're talking about.
Okay. Wow, God. Okay, so can we run that back again? And then Nikki, just you guys and Andy, pause it when I tell you to pause, please.
Are you going to fire the current FBI director, Christopher Wray, who you appointed?
Well, I can't say I'm thrilled with him. He invaded my home. I'm suing the country over it. He invaded Mar-a-Lago.
Okay. Sir, Mr. Trump, he did not invade Mar-a-Lago. You had documents in your home that should not have been there. They asked you to return them and you refused to. So in order for them to get them back or to get the evidence of such documents, they needed to enter Mar-a-Lago. You would not allow them. You would not cooperate. So the government and law enforcement, as with any citizen of the United States, as they would have done with President Joe Biden, when they found documents in his home, he cooperated and returned them. You did not do that. It was not an invasion of your home. It was simply a legal process that would happen with anyone. Would they have had to do it had you cooperated? That's what I would have done right there. Keep going, please.
I'm very unhappy with the things he's done. And crime is at an all-time high.
Okay. Crime is not at an all-time high. Let's talk about crime. Okay. Mr. Trump, it's not true. Crime is not at an all-time high. Let me just give you some of the information or statistics that we have from every crime and law enforcement person in the country. Okay. And crime is not an all-time high. Let me grab the crime numbers here. Crime is not that is far off base. The violent crime rate, as measured by the FBI, is about half as high as it was in the early 1990s. And the rate of crime victimization, as measured by a different federal survey, is now about 1/3 of its level in the early 1990s. Today, crime victimization rates are 1/3 at their peak level. Violent crime victimization, 1,000 per population. Crime in the United States is down overall. Are there incidents of crime? Absolutely. Are there areas that need to be fixed? Absolutely. 100%, Mr. Trump. But you cannot say crime is at an all-time high when it is not. Now, if you want to specifically say where you would like to fix crime, that you have an issue with some things that are happening, maybe with the prosecution of people who are stealing goods in stores, but the fact that the idea that you're saying that crime is at an all-time high is simply not true. As a matter of fact, it is a flat-out lie. How do you respond to that? Why do you keep saying that? Crime is not at an all-time high. Okay, keep going.
Are pouring into the country that are from prisons and from mental institutions, as we've discussed. I can't say I'm thrilled. I don't want to say. I don't want to.
Okay. I think he's saying they're walking right next to us. Keep going. I'm going to keep going on this. This is
again. I don't want to be Joe Biden and give you an answer and then do the exact opposite.
We're going to talk about.
So I'm not going to.
Pause. Okay, so two things there. One, when he says immigration, they're walking. Trump falsely claimed more than 13,000 immigrants who had committed murder were released into the country over the last 3 years. The figure from Immigration and Customs Enforcement data referred to immigrants who were currently not detained by immigration authorities, though they may be in prisons or jails, and included those who had entered the country over the last 40 years. Not just since Joe Biden has been president. And they let that lie roll throughout the entire thing. It is not since Joe Biden had been president. This is not a Joe Biden, Kamala Harris exclusive problem. Let's look back over the 40 years. Okay? You want to go back? Let's look back since 1980. Let's just say we do that. Who was president? Ronald Reagan. Then after Ronald Reagan, who was it? George H.W. Bush. Right? These are Republicans the last 40 years. Let's go back to, let's see. So 80, 84, Ronald Reagan, 88, George H.W. Bush, 91, Bill Clinton again, George W. Bush for 2 terms, another Republican. So this is bipartisan. So to say, and then it was him. This is all part his problem as well, because he was a 1-term president. Now will be a 2-term, not consecutive. And it was his problem as well. He falsely claimed that prisons in Venezuela are at the lowest point in terms of emptiness that they have been. Venezuelan prisons are overcrowded and the population is about level with that of 2021. He hyperbolically claimed that unauthorized immigrants in Colorado, in a Colorado town, were literally taking over apartment complexes. Remember that lie? And doing it with impunity. City officials said that had not happened. And he falsely claimed that we're the only country that grants citizenship to any child born within its borders. More than 30 others do. And on the topic of crime, Mr. Trump falsely claimed that crime is at an all-time high. It is not. He claimed that it was able to get hundreds of billions of dollars put into NATO just by tough attitude. He can claim some credit for that. Oh, this is about the NATO thing. I didn't read that. Let me just read this. Remember the NATO thing where he said, I've stopped crimes or whatever, and then he talks about NATO. I don't know. Do we have a NATO soundbite, Nikki, or no?
We do not, but I can look and see what I can find.
That's okay. Don't worry about it. But anyway, let's talk about that, because he said that he was the one that forced NATO to do all these things. And that is the boldest, biggest lie ever. Let me read why. Okay. He falsely claimed crime is at an all-time high. It's not. He claimed that he was able to get hundreds of billions of dollars. These are other lies that he told, other topics, put into NATO just by tough attitude. He can claim some credit for more countries in the alliance meeting a goal of spending on their militaries, but they made that pledge in 2014. Now, this is all, I'm telling you guys the truth. You may go, oh my God, you just hate Trump. You have Trump derangement syndrome. No, I'm telling you the truth, whether you want to believe it or not. That pledge was made in 2014. Who was president in 2014? Nikki, who was president in 2014?
Obama?
Thanks, Obama. Thanks, Obama. He claimed that just prior to COVID coming in, I had polls that were the highest. These are other lies. He had a 47% approval rating in late February of 2020. In late February of 2020. This was just before COVID, right? He claimed that he had, prior to COVID coming in, I had polls that were the highest. Well, I mean, look, yeah, you had polls before COVID, but COVID did happen under you and you handled it poorly. So you just can't say, like, pretend COVID did not exist. But here's the truth, okay? He had a 48% approval rating in late February of 2020, according to a Gallup poll, lower than all but 3 of his predecessors, dating to Harry S. Truman at a similar time into their presidencies. Again, another lie. He had approval ratings lower than all but 3 of his predecessors, dating to Harry S. Truman at a similar time in their presidencies. He did not have the highest polls, just like he did not have the best economy. As it relates to economies, everyone talks about it, and they like to talk about it. They talk about how Jimmy Carter had a really terrible economy, and they use him as a Democratic president that they like to hold up as someone who had a bad economy, who had a poor record on the economy. Donald Trump's economy ranks below Jimmy Carter. You guys are falling for the okie doke. That's why I'm like, why do we normalize someone who lies so much? Nikki, do you have anything else for me?
We do have the clip where he mentions the 13,099 murderers.
Yes, let's listen, please.
So we had 11,000 and 13,000 different estimates, 13,099 murderers released into our country over the last 3 years. They're walking down the streets. They're walking next to you and your family, and they're very dangerous.
The 13,000 figure, I think, goes back about 40 years.
No, it doesn't. No,
That
it's within the 3-year
13,000
period. It's
figure.
during the Biden term. No, that was a fiction that they put that out. This was done by the Border Patrol. It's 13,099, and it's during the Biden period of time. And these are murderers.
Y'all, that is a lie. That's not true. I'm going to read it again. Okay. Falsely claim that more than 13,000 immigrants who committed murder were released into the country over the last 3 years. The figure from the Immigration and Customs Enforcement data. This is from the border, folks. Refer to immigrants that were currently not detained by immigration authorities, though they may be in prisons or jails, and included those who had entered the country over the last 40 years. By the very people that he said this was a lie, but according to the Border Patrol, those are from the Border Patrol. Again, another lie. And it just, people believe it. Why do you believe it? Why do we normalize him? Why do we sit there and pretend like Donald Trump did an interview and everything he said was true? And oh my God, he did an interview. Wow, that was so great. Anything else, Nikki, that we have?
We have him saying that he will not concede the 2020 election.
Oh,
That's
right.
our last one.
Yeah, remember 2020, how many courts that went through? That was the biggest lie of them all, right? The folks who believe that the 2020 election was stolen. And so now, apparently, everything is great with the election system, our electoral process, because he won. But then before, which is interesting, because here's the interesting part, because, Joe Biden was not president, right? But he's saying that Joe Biden somehow, before he was president, somehow rigged the election when Joe Biden had no power in the government, had no officials, nothing, that he rigged the election. But then when Joe Biden became president and was actually in charge of the government, that he didn't have the wherewithal or the process then to rig an election. It just does not make sense, except for if you were a MAGA, brain that doesn't really understand about how things actually work when you make excuses. Like, how does that make sense? Okay. So this is what he said about the election now.
I don't have to tell you this because you've talked about it. It comes at a time when the country is deeply divided. And now you're going to be leading this country for the next 4 years. For the sake of unifying this country, will you concede the 2020 election and turn the page on that chapter?
No. Why would I do that? But let me just tell you, when
won't
you
ever
say the
concede.
country is deeply divided, I'm not the president. Joe Biden's the president.
But you're going to be the president.
No. I'm not the president. So when you say it's deeply divided, I agree. But Biden's the president. I'm not. And he has been a divider. And you know.
Okay. The reason, sir, with all due respect, the reason that the country is divided is because you have lied to them and told them that the 2020 election was stolen. So that's the whole reason I'm asking you this question. Joe Biden has not said that the 2020 election was stolen. Joe Biden did not interfere in this election, because had he done that, perhaps you would not be president. As Ramos Awanda says, he divided it with his lies. That's what he did. Mr. Trump, you incited an insurrection. You lied about an election being stolen. Every court in the land, including the highest court, and judges that you appointed, said that there was no evidence at all that the election was stolen. Deeply divided because of you. Bonica Stubbs is right. Deeply divided because of you, not because of Joe Biden. Explain to me how Joe Biden divided the country. Explain to me specifically how Joe Biden. Can you give me some evidence of that? I wonder how he would have answered that. Can you please give me some evidence of that? Okay. Probably could not. I doubt that he could because I don't know of any evidence of how he did it. I just want to show you just who this president is. Okay. I want to show you who he is. And let's not forget with all of this, when you talk about divided, you can sit there. This is the normalization of Donald Trump, the normalization. So you sit there and you do an interview and you sort of, you sit there and pretend that he's normal, that you can ask him the same questions that you ask anybody else. I think the way to do it is you kind of have to laugh at him and say, okay, that makes no sense. None of that makes sense. Okay. But you can sit here and pretend whatever, but what you're saying is a lie. That's what you have to. Okay, but you're lying. You're lying, Donald Trump. He'd probably get up and walk away, but I think that's what you'd have to say. This is who this president is. Can we roll the video of him and his cologne?
Trump fragrances are here. They make a great Christmas present. I've named them Fight, Fight, Fight because they represent winning. We all want to be winning. We have to win as a nation. We want to win as a family. This fragrance is all about strength and success and confidence for men and for women. Get yourself a bottle and don't forget to grab one for your loved ones too. They'll thank you and they'll even smell good. Enjoy, have fun, keep on winning, and Merry Christmas.
That's your next president. Yeah, Jennifer Grogan, you're right. Why on earth would someone who is going to be president of the United States and someone who is the former president of the United States, why on earth would they do that? Jamie Lunas, you're right. Why on earth would he? Obviously, he must have some financial issues. Even all the money that he raised. Yes, so tacky, Maureen Marfell. That's who Donald Trump is. He's also using a picture of Jill Biden to sell his cologne. The first lady, snake oil salesman Angelina Knox, you're right. That's what he's doing. Here are my new Trump perfumes and colognes. I call them Fight, Fight, Fight because they represent us winning. Great Christmas gifts for the family. Go to get it. Merry Christmas to all. And then he has this picture of Jill Biden there, who's looking like she's like, what? He's using Jill Biden. Trump fragrances, a concept of a scent, says SS Boxer. That's who he is. So tell me, why do people pretend? Like, why do we have to pretend? Why do we have to normalize him? Why do we have to pretend when he doesn't pretend that why does the media, let's be honest with me, guys, and I want your comments. Why does the media sit there and pretend like this is a normal guy? We have to ask him normal questions. We have to treat him as if he's normal. We can treat him as if he's president. That's why we're interviewing him. Yes, okay, fine, you won. But that doesn't mean that we have to sit here and like fall victim and prey to all of your lies. That we have to pretend that what you're saying is true and that you are somehow a normal political figure. If you are, as you say that you are a transformational figure and that okay, then let's just treat him that way. The rules don't apply to you, so the rules don't apply to us. We don't have to treat you as normal because you're not. He's not normal. And I get sick of why, and you know me. It's part of the mainstream media for a long time. And I hate to have to mainstream this guy and pretend that he is normal. He's not. To hate that you have to offer him the respect that he does not offer other people. He doesn't offer people respect at all. No one. He respects no one. So why do you have to sit there and yes, sir, whatever. Yes, okay, he's to respect the office of the presidency, the president of the United States. But when the person holding that office doesn't respect that office, then why must you do it? I would conduct myself with dignity, but I would also point out his lies and his bullshit. The person who is selling you Trump cologne is the real Donald Trump. And don't you forget it. That's it. I'll see you later. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching, everyone. Make sure you hit the like button. It helps us with the algorithm. And also, we'd love for you to become a subscriber. So hit that button too. We're live every day at 10 a.m. Eastern Time and 5 p.m. Eastern, so there's plenty of content for you to check out.